Hey everybody, welcome to Rants by Michaela. So I've been seeing posts circulating all over social media, it doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, that basically all have the same message. That if you're a parent and you kick your kids out at the age of 18, you're perpetuating a generational curse and you're dooming your children for failure. And I could not disagree more. As somebody who has actually been out on her own since she turned 18, I can tell you a ton of positive things that come from actually having to pull your head out of your behind, get out there, go live in the adult world, earn your own living, understand where a dollar comes from, so that you are not as frivolous as you think you have the right to be when it comes to spending. And you start making certain lifestyle choices that are more responsible for you, because now it's your money that you have to count and not your parents' money that you have a tendency to act like grows on trees. Now, I was never a spoiled brat growing up. Matter of fact, I was so incredibly poverty stricken that I wanted to graduate high school early and emancipate myself just so I could get a job. I know I had that in mind to do that ever since I had turned 15. But I do have friends that, to be quite honest with you, based off of the path that they have taken in the past 15 years, it looks like these guys are never going to know what it's like to truly be an adult without the support of your family until they turn about 50 years old. In which case, I personally believe you cannot truly call yourself an adult until you have gained true independence. And a lot of people are not even trying. They don't even have the intention of being as independent as they should be, especially at their age. But there is a situation in which living at home will actually benefit your kids. And let me tell you how. So here in the United States, my mom was in the Air Force and she taught me to be a very multicultural person. She moved my sister and I out to Los Angeles, and we got a chance to just kind of meet and hang out and mingle and learn from people from all different cultures, European cultures, Eastern European cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, African cultures, Indian cultures, and Asian cultures, as well as, of course, Latin American culture. I mean, Southern California basically is Mexico. But one of the things that I noticed about Indian, Asian, and African culture is that their cultural values are very strict when it comes to education. Like, academic success is embedded within the cultural value. So much so to the point where my son's best friend is Indian, and his father came home one day and saw that his son was struggling with math homework. And his father went off. He goes, "I don't care if you never speak a single word of English again for the rest of your life. You are Indian. You will be good at math and science." Because understanding, being an expert in math and science is embedded in Indian culture. Same thing with African culture. I went to a church called All Nations Christ Church over in Fresno, California. It was predominantly Nigerian, with members who were Congolese, Sudanese, and from other parts of Africa as well. In Nigerian culture, especially amongst Igbo tribesmen, you are either a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or a disgrace to the family. So that entire church was filled with doctors and nurses. Basically, I didn't meet a single lawyer or engineer. We had one particular woman who was a CNA, but her passion was in computer technology. But everyone in that church had a degree in biology, chemistry, physiology, nursing, or was a medical doctor. And when it comes to Asian culture, we already know we stereotype Asians as being good at everything, because being academically successful and being professionally successful is also a requirement that is embedded within the culture. So if you know that you run your household the way that Indians, Asians, and Africans run their household, where the children are allowed to stay at home after the age of 18 so that they can continue their education, which, bachelor's degree by 21, master's degree by 23, PhD by 25. You can even be like this guy that my mom used to work with over at NASA. This guy was an Eastern European, and in his country, If you didn't get 2 PhDs by the time you were 25, you were considered a disgrace to the culture and an embarrassment to your family. So if you come from one of those type of backgrounds where academic and professional success is embedded within the cultural values, then yes, absolutely. Keep your kids at home until they finish their education. One of the things that I love especially about African culture is they take it a step up from there. Not only are the children required to stay at home while they're getting their education, but let's say, for example, there's a family of 6, 2 parents and 4 kids. Once the oldest one gets his or her bachelor's degree, they will be encouraged to stay at home to financially support the younger siblings until they get their degrees as well. After everybody finishes getting their own education, they end up helping each other build each other's credit as well. Then they help each other save up money to get a deposit for a house. Next thing you know, you've got a family of 6, and every single last one of them has a degree from the university, has a nice car, and is a homeowner. None of this barely educated, barely graduated from high school, can barely get an apartment, barely get a full-time job. No, these guys focus on getting their degree. And then let's say you do have to work after you get your degree, right? Like, let's say, for example, you're a teacher. Well, teachers can't just get a bachelor's degree and then go teaching. You have to have some sort of teaching certification, which includes additional classes and then additional examinations. I remember when I looked up CBEST training over in California to become a California state teacher, because my bachelor's degree is in applied linguistics, that CBEST course and exam was going to come out to about $3,000. And then being somebody who's bilingual, I'm English and Spanish speaking, if I would have wanted to become a cross-cultural language teacher, like become a Spanish as a second language instructor, I would have had to receive a BCLAD certification, which is another $2,000 to $3,000, at least the last time I checked back in 2018. Those certifications could now be more expensive. So when you're in an African family or an Asian or an Indian family, after you get your degree, if you are required to work so that you can save up money to get those additional certifications, you work and your money is your money, and you never give that money over to your parents or to your younger siblings. Not until you get your life together first. In that regard, I will fully support any parent who allows their child to stay at home up until the age of about, I want to say 30. If you're 30 years old and still living at home, to me, that's too old. At that point in time, it's like, when are you going to get your head out of your behind and get your life together? Leave your parents alone. They deserve to be by themselves. You know, at some point in time, you got to cut the umbilical cord and let people live their own lives. Parents are going to have at some point in time when they kick the, little birdies out of the nest, and the kids are going to have to get to that point where they're like, okay, I'm grown now. It's time for me to have my own place. It's time for me to have my own stuff. I personally do not understand the mentality of anybody who is over the age of 18 and their home is not in their name, they don't pay rent, their car is not in their name, they don't pay car payment, they may only have to be responsible for insurance and gas, but they still want the respect of being an adult. When I was growing up, I was taught you are not an adult until you get out of my house and get a life of your own. Until then, as long as you still live in my house, you are still a child and you will be treated like a child. But if you want to act like you're too grown, then you get to spend your entire paycheck paying bills, just like I got to spend my entire paycheck paying bills, And that's actually not very true about the way that I grew up with my mom. I'm not going to give the internet too much business about my relationship with my mom, but that is definitely the family dynamic that I had when I had to go and stay with other cousins or aunts or grandparents when I wasn't living at my mom's house. So you're not truly an adult until you have your own shit. No one deserves to be respected as an adult and you still live at your mama's house. But I can understand when technically, as you're getting your degree and as you're getting your certifications, and as you're building a professional business, you do stay at home so that you can focus on those things. Now, that's Indian, Asian, and African culture. When it comes to European and Eastern European culture, as well as in some cases Middle Eastern culture, they're not strict when it comes to academic education and getting your degree, but they are strict about being able to start a business. They don't want to raise employees, they want to raise entrepreneurs. So the same rules apply. You stay home and you work and you save up enough money to get to that point where you have enough capital to start your own business, and then you go on out in the world as a business owner, not as somebody else's employee. So it's not like Indian, Asian, and African cultures where they want you to get a degree, but it's the same concept nevertheless. If you need to be Jeff Bezos starting a business in mom's garage, mom's all for it. When it comes to building your academic as well as your professional career, staying at home until you're 30, I am definitely all for it. But in the next video, I'm going to tell you all of the cons that come with letting your children stay at home after the age of 18 if they're not building themselves up within that time. Anyway, that's my rant. You guys have a good one.